They turned him down, and he went to Iraq to invest. He had some private capital to invest. And some people wanted to do Calabar-Lagos Road. They were denied because government, too much government, Father Christmas,
Is that the same picture you're seeing here of the government not wanting to let go in terms of infrastructure?
Of course. You see, anywhere in the world, the government alone, they cannot do infrastructure. I was in Singapore some time ago, and I saw how private capital, how much money they have to do that kind of infrastructure they have over there. So you need private capital to do infrastructure. And government alone cannot do it. And at the beginning of this administration, in 2015, I think it was here, I mentioned it. I said, look, what government needs now is to get Nigerians or anybody with international clout to help them sell their vision internationally to attract private capital. But they're not listening. And that's the only way to go. Forget about your party leanings. Nigeria's situation right now is bigger, it should not be left in the hands of politicians. We should forget politics and focus on the bigger picture of how do we come together to work. If you're PDP, even if you're PDP, APC, or SDP, Social Democratic Party, or any other party. But the thing is that you have the commitment, the interests of Nigeria at heart. Come on board, whatever ideas you have, so that we can build, this thing. But, they're still too partisan to allow that to happen,
Malpe?
Well, I'm looking at the budget on the whole. I mean, tagged a budget of economic recovery and growth. From the figures that you've seen and the numbers, the monies allocated to proposed, because whether or not we like it, this is still a budget proposal. Are you confident that this would actually achieve what it has been tagged this time around, budget of economic recovery and growth?
I don't think so. Because one, there are some fundamental issues that we need to address before we talk about growing and all that. You don't when you're in recession or depression, you don't legislate yourself out of, or you don't I order you to do this. No, there's a process, and in getting this, in growing this, what is the private sector involvement in all of this? The producers and the consumers have to, with government policy, have to come together to, have a way of, getting us out of recession or depression. One, the producers themselves, they are not helping out. Even I expect that when at this point there are some producers, because they're the ones that will help. Some producers, those manufacturing items, will be able to begin to, grow the economy. I mean, give to those who don't have. For instance, people are hoarding money, for instance, and you don't get out of the recession. If you go to anybody now, they say, oh, I don't have money. Why can't we have something to help other people? Producers and consumers will come together with government policy to grow. With this kind of budget, as we see it, the critical areas, okay, say for instance, power, okay? Now, how much money was released in 2006 budget to the power sector? It's a proposal, 500 something billion naira. Now, we have to wait to see how much actually that ministry will receive at the end of the day. Now, what is their strategy? What are they going to use in all of this? What is the private sector involvement in all of this? So we need to begin to, even the one that will help us out, Ministry of Science and Tech, we are not even, in 2006 budget, they received the list. But this is a ministry that is also equally important in actually long-term growth of the economy. So but they always have the least budget, and their monies are not even released at the right time. So these are some of the things. This budget is like I earlier said, by the time you take out the domestic debt to be paid, then you have, how many, just a little thing to, do other things.
Well, I'm wondering, is that the reason, because you say that because you're not seeing private sector participation in this, but this is what government says it wants to spend. It has not excluded or what the private sector or the partnerships is going to go into with the private sector? Because for some people, the partnership with the private sector is implied in some of the figures that were seen allocated to certain ministries. The Ministry of Power, Works and Housing, for instance, has always said that eventually they hope to go into into a PPP with the private sector, and that there is no way they can do all the roads alone. But this is what government itself is intending to spend in these three major ministries. Why then do you say that you don't have a lot of hope in it?
Well, basically, one thing is in every budget is you propose. Actual is different from estimate. Okay? Now, how are they going to generate the money to actually spend? That's one thing. What other alternatives do they have? I know that they can go out and borrow to make up the deficit. Okay? Because it's a deficit budget. Okay? But again, the actual allocation, the actual execution of this project, that's where the problem lies. Because one is that having a proposal that you're going to spend this amount of money, but receiving the cash and the monetary value to actually invest in this project. And what other alternatives do you have? So if you check patterns, I'm a student of patterns. I studied patterns. I know that this is how this thing was going to go. And as 2016, the same way 2016 budget is, the same way it will also, this 2017 is the same pattern. So there are fundamental things that you have to do to be able to achieve, any change in between 2016 and 2017. And the same mistake we made in the past, we're still repeating the same mistake.
Okay, well, let's hang it there. When we come back, we'll continue from this point. So as we'll be back in a moment, don't go away.